fact-checking, and we're fact-checking Melanie Joly. She came out with this tweet that said, Canada's economy grew by 2.2% in the first quarter, one of the strongest showings in the G7. Let's keep beating the odds by building a strong, innovative economy, creating good jobs, and attracting investment and talent. I mean, that is misleading at best. That's an annualized rate. The economy grew about 0.5% in the first quarter. And again, it was front-loaded by people buying a lot of inventory, worried about the tariffs. So there you go.
Sorry, is that still online? Is that tweet still online? Do we know?
Still there. Champagne actually tweeted the same thing. Francois, our minister, repeated. I was going to put him in there as well, but I figured we'll just start with Melanie Joly.
So we have two options then. Either the Minister of Finance and the Ministry of Industry, either they do not understand the most basic economics that somebody in high school would understand, or they're liars. Which is it? There's only two options there.
I was generous with misleading.
This isn't just like fiddling around a little bit like, oh, that's a cheeky interpretation. This is outright false. Canada's economy grew by 2.2%. That's a lie. That's a complete lie.
In the first quarter.
If they'd used lawyer speak and said Canada's economy was on track to grow by 2.2%.
Annualized. They just said the word annualized. Okay. They just put the word annualized in there and it's fine. Because they just deleted that word.
Outright falsehood. Yeah. That is, and again, I have to say, if I hear the Liberal Party, if I hear anybody in the Liberal Party come out and bemoan the lack of trust in politicians, the lack of faith in politicians again, I think my head is going to explode. Because they, just like all other politicians, just like all political parties, they lie again and again and again. Every time they open their mouths, they lie. But they're the only ones that complain about misinformation and loss of faith in institutions. Why do you think people are losing faith in institutions? Because you lie about the most basic things. And this isn't any sort of fancy trick that she's pulling off here. This is just like a straightforward lie that, like I say, a child could see through that lie.
So if you go and pull up Francois, maybe we can get the Fox to put it up there. Let's see if you can grab that there. I just put up Francois Philippe Champagne's tweet that's there too. It's embarrassing actually, right? That they either think the Canadian public is that stupid, or perhaps they are that stupid.
And I see this, I don't know where you got this copy from that we have from an economist at the Royal Bank of Canada, but, oh, okay, no, that's not related to her tweet. Okay, I thought that was actually directly related to her tweet.
No.
But no, this is outrageous. It's completely outrageous. I mean, I don't know if we have to explain to people. I don't think we do. You already have, but this is a projection. This is like
annualized.
This is like throwing a paper airplane and then freezing time when it's like a foot away from your hand, and then saying, okay, it's going to fly this high and then it's going to land there. You have no idea that's what's going to happen. You don't know anything. It's just a complete guess to say 2.2%. It's fantasy.
Yeah, and it's an annualized thing, and most of that jump was related to people buying inventory, and that was a surge in machinery investment, 22% jump that likely won't be sustained. So again, it's even if you could argue that they were dumb enough to put that out there without putting the word annualized in there, they're also misleading people because there's a reason that it jumped. That 0.5 is because of the people were front loading, and so you're going to pay the piper later for that. Like that needs to be explained. So they're not being honest, 100% not being honest, right? And the Bank of Canada decision is up in the air because of this GDP number, supposedly, right? They're saying that they might not drop rates, but I mean, there's enough information out there that shows that the Canadian economy is in big trouble, and I don't think they have much choice but to drop rates. But and then that goes with the steel industry. So. Yeah, the steel industry. Trump coming out this weekend saying that he's actually increasing the steel and aluminum tariffs to 50% on June 4th, and that has actually got a lot of. That's a big hurdle here in Canada, right? So like Algoma Steel already paid about $10 million in tariffs in the last 2 weeks, but doubling those tariffs would really be tough. But on the other side of that, steel companies in the United States jumped on that news. Major steel stocks jumped Monday on the tariff. There's winners and losers and all this stuff, but hopefully they can find some sanity here. But I think the first thing that our Minister of the Economy and the Finance Minister start being honest with Canadians. Stop gaslighting, because you're just kicking the can down the road.
Indeed. Melanie Joly, though, who, as we can see, has an absolutely amazing grasp of economics. She said this morning that she's going to prioritize Canadian steel or she's going to commit to prioritizing Canadian steel for defense projects and infrastructure projects. But like I say, I mean, I'm just a complete, I'm like a dribbling moron that doesn't understand anything about the world. And I just, I bow down to her superior knowledge. But, to me, I think when Canada has an export-driven aluminium industry and steel industry and not a very big market, I'm not sure that that's going to make up for the losses. But like I said, Joly is she's way too smart for me.
You know where they could use a lot of steel and aluminum? A pipeline.
But even then, I don't think that would make up for. I don't think that would make up for the loss, because they're talking about now 50%. They're saying now that that's like RIP. That's dead now. Yeah. That's a rate at which it's just not possible to absorb the losses. Therefore, Canada's going to be left with all this excess steel, and Canada is a country of 40 million people. It's not the sort of country that can consume enormous amounts of steel, even if you're building big projects. But
you'd have to build a couple pipelines.
Like I said, Joly's the genius here, not me.
You'd have to build a couple pipelines, and the other one would be to drop the EV tariffs, because we won't have an auto industry that'll be using steel and aluminum either, because if they don't drop those EV mandates, they will have